All right. What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, fellow fantasy people? And what is up, the catch fam? The time has come. This infamous 12-man draft is here. We have got the draft room pulled up. T minus 21 minutes until we draft. Those draft jitters, the anxiety is here. Man, I have got the first overall selection. I just talked to my co-host Steven on the phone, and we were just talking about how much we both hate selecting from the first overall pick. I'm going to try and hop into a mock draft here before we get going. So, nonetheless, man, if you are new here, we are on the road to 100 subscribers. Go ahead and hit the sub button, baby. Become part of the Catch fam. Outside of that, if you guys are not new here, let's get some smashes going on with that like button. Let's help some other viewers get this stream in their life, man, and let's get this live chat going, man. I am so excited. Could not be more ecstatic overall to get this underway, but we still have just under 20 minutes, and I'm picking Christian McCaffrey. I mean, I have to, right? I mean, I guess I don't have to. I guess I can pick anyone I really want to. But, man, I really wanted, like, pick 9 or pick 11, just somewhere towards the end of the first round. Gosh, man, I don't know, man. I'm going to see if there's a better place to have my face. I think over here will make more sense, so we can at least use the Q. And let's actually make me a little smaller here if I can figure out what I'm doing, because I'm going to try and switch between the draft log. Whenever I try and use this draft board on the NFL's website, it comes out in horrible fashion. So we will try and use the draft log here to give a good idea of what's going on overall. I'm not going to be active in this chat as my boy Dusty is asking how everyone's doing. A very polite question. Thank you, Dusty. I'm just going to throw out here, love you, Dusty. That's going to be the only thing I say tonight, because I don't know what will pop up in this live chat or this chat in here. So we will just try and stay out of that for the time being. But outside of that, man, let's get into this, man. We got to really start thinking, because this is really one of the spots where I really wasn't practicing whatsoever. I mean, I did a couple of first overall selections, right? But outside of that, not a whole lot. So we know that we're going to target that of Christian McCaffrey. Let's see. I mean, we're not even targeting him. We're just selecting him because we can. Okay, this is perfect. So we have got I want to make sure I'm looking at this right. So that gives us 2.2, 3.1. So that is the 24th overall selection. Okay, I'm just making sure I'm reading this right, because they're throwing a lot of numbers at us, and that makes perfect sense. Okay, so we have pick 1, pick 24, pick 25, then 48, 49. Man, this is going to be, we're going to need some sleepers in this draft. Oh, man, I don't know if I'm ready for this, guys. I truly don't. I feel like I need I should have had a pen and pencil ready just to have that information by my arsenal, right? But nonetheless, man, I think we can get a really good value at pick 24 and 25. I think we can come around with 2 running backs that we really like there paired with Christian McCaffrey. But there's going to be some interesting selections to make tonight, man. I think our overall strategy is going to go RB at pick 1, of course, RB at pick 24, and then we're going to move on to more than likely another running back at pick 25. We might consider a quarterback there. We'll see what happens. And then with pick 48, we're probably going to need to go receiver or quarterback. Pick 49, go wide receiver. But more than likely, what I'm going to do here is pick one running back, pick 24 and 25, two other running backs, pick 48, QB, receiver, and then pick 72, probably tight end receiver, and then we'll finish out 96 and 97 wide receiver running back, and then just for the rest of the draft, pick receivers, kicker, and a defense. So I feel all right at the moment, and I think that we're going to do well overall with this draft, although we're not entirely prepared for a first overall selection. So, Rio Goated, what is up, my guy? Glad to see you back here in the live chat. Don't know what was happening that last stream because it ended. Yeah, I'm sorry, man. I ended it pretty abruptly there. Unless if you're talking about the one I did about an hour ago, I did an outro and everything. If you're talking about the one I just threw up, I had some technical issues, as usual, as I've had with a lot of these live streams, and I just had to exit it real quick and get right back into it. But we are good to go now, man. If you're just now seeing, I have the first pick in round one. Just realized in the title I put PPR, but this is a half PPR scoring format. Maybe I can change that through my phone. I don't think anyone's really going to care, but just in case, I think I can go ahead and change that real quick, potentially. No, doesn't look like I can. So if anyone's wondering, this is a half PPR draft, not a full PPR, but like I said, I don't think anyone's going to make too big of a deal over it. So let's get some caffeine in us. Let's get rolling, man, because I want to keep this ticker going here. So we'll know we can move my face over there. But yeah, man, 15 seconds, man. Not 15 seconds, 15 minutes. Real good. Is this like your real mock draft, or is this just a regular mock draft? So my real draft starts in 14 minutes here. A little bit over 14 minutes. I was trying to hop in into an actual mock draft beforehand just to kind of get my strategy together and see kind of how this mock draft would treat us, so to speak. But of course, now that I have to go in and select the specific point from where I'm picking from in my real draft, we had a little bit of a wait time until we could hop into a 12-man mock draft from the first overall selection. So I'm trying to do a mock draft, but I don't think it's going to matter. At this point, what we can do, I want to start a queue for players for me past round one, I want to say. Man, with pick 24 and 25, those are going to be really valuable points. But keep in mind what we're seeing right now. I'm on the draft board. I'm trying to switch back to the players board, and it takes a very long time. So I will not be, it's going to be really difficult to switch between the actual player board and, or the actual draft board, excuse me, and the players available. We can use the draft log, which doesn't move as slow overall, but man, I don't understand the NFL Fantasy website. I just don't. It is like an awful disaster. So I hope that's not making anyone with the NFL Fantasy site mad at me. But I'm sorry. It just drives me absolutely insane. So, I mean, nothing's even responding at this given moment. So maybe the best move here is we go ahead and close out of this Yahoo draft, and we just stick to our, yeah, and see now it's having to reload and it's doing all kinds of things. That does not excite me. Let's just stay here, and then, yeah, let's start to build a queue. So we know we have pick 24 and 25. So if I'm being honest, man, I usually do these drafts off my phone, at least when I'm drafting through NFL. I mean, I have done on my laptop before, but I feel like doing it on your phone, it just goes a lot smoother overall. So nonetheless, man, let's stop complaining and let's gear up. We're almost to the 10-minute mark. So with pick number one, of course, We're going to pick Christian McCaffrey, and part of me wants to be that guy who lets the clock wind down the full time. I think we're going to have a minute for each selection, but I'll probably just pick Christian McCaffrey right off the bat so we can get closer to who we're going to snag in the second and third round. So we have the 24th selection and the 25th selection, two very valuable spots, man. We can go out and get, man, I think we can get Robinson and Montgomery. Yeah, I think it's very, very possible. Now, okay, a couple notes here on this league, okay? I think that quarterbacks are going to go very early tonight. I think we can potentially see a quarterback out in round one. And I would probably be Patrick Mahomes, but I won't be surprised if we see quarterbacks going in round two and round three. With that being said, I really have no plans on reaching for a quarterback, but I do want a good quarterback who I trust week in and week out on this team. So with that being said, I think when we flip back, let's see, we should have picks. This is the last time I'm going to look at the draft board. Be at picks 48 and 49. I think at that point we can get a very valuable quarterback and a very good wide receiver number one, or a tight end that we are overly confident in. But I think at the turn here at pick 72 and 73, we are probably going to target another running back and another receiver or a tight end. So it's just going to kind of depend on who's available at certain points in this draft. So guys, let's get that like button smashed to whomever is in here. Let's try and get this live stream spread around, man. Nonetheless, man, I'm stoked. I was literally just talking to Steven about this draft. He's not going to be live streaming with us as he has got a lot going on. This is his first year being the commissioner of the league. He's got a whole household of family members drafting in this draft. He's trying to coordinate a lot of things. So he did want me to let you guys know that this might be the first year where he reverts away from the RB heavy approach. So that should get interesting. Okay, I'm going to make a note on my phone at what selections I have just so I don't forget them. And these should be pretty easy to remember because we are going to have two picks in a row consistently. But nonetheless, let's just go ahead and jot these down so we can refer to them if we need to. And man, this clock is moving. We are under the 10-minute mark. So I think we're going to be able to get a lot of good value early in the draft. Of course, I think our first three picks are going to be super solid. I am really stoked on that, man. I mean, of course, we have the first overall selection, so we're getting a prime value at the beginning of the draft. I think the only issue, of course, is that this does hurt us at later points in the draft. But luckily, man, we've done our homework. We have got some sleepers at different positions that we're happy with. I think this is going to be a great draft overall, man. I'm super stoked. I would just wish that this timer would go down a little bit quicker, man, but it's all good. So, not a lot to do at this point, man, because I truly don't like starting my queue too early. Just knowing as many players, who may get drafted. But where I'm standing right now, man, we're going triple running back. We're getting a QB in round 4/round 5, and we're also getting our wide receiver 1 there, unless there's a tight end available who I just can't pass up, right? Or if there's a running back sitting there that I feel confident in, maybe a Josh Jacobs falls there. I don't know. We'll see. But I think more than likely we're going triple RB, QB, and receiver. I think that's what's going to make the most sense overall. But I'm super, super stoked, man. I don't have anything else to say other than I want this draft to start soon. So let's see. Steven is selecting with the 5th overall selection. So, sorry, I'm moving my face all over the freaking place. I think he's going to get a pretty valuable selection there. I don't know, man. I'm a little worried that in round 2, I know Steven really wanted Tyreek Hill. I'm worried that Steven is going to try and tarnish my fantasy draft as he knows all of the players that I'm high on. So that could definitely happen tonight as well. But nonetheless, it's all good. So I don't know, man. I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get Montgomery and Robinson, and I hope we can, as that's a prime, wish for this fantasy roster that I've talked about all off season, all preseason, right? And I really just don't understand how those 2 running backs could be available at that point in the draft. I mean, I really think that they are worth 2nd-round picks and more, but really where we're going to make our money in this draft is at the wide receiver position and some of those late round guys, right? I still don't want to queue up people. Well, let's see. The thing is, if we start queuing up players for too late in the draft, and God forbid something happens and we lose access to this and our pick comes up and we draft Terrace Marshall Jr. in the 3rd round, well, that's definitely going to hurt our draft overall. So, and also just with so many players being available, I feel like I can evaluate things pretty well. But the thing to keep in mind for tonight is to not worry at the wide receiver position. We can get tremendous wide receiver 1 value at late rounds in this draft. Where we cannot get tremendous value is at the running back position. We can get good value at the QB position, but I don't know about tremendous value. We can get good value at the tight end position throughout the whole draft. I'll say good value throughout the whole draft. So I'm not as concerned, but I really want to go into this draft with a tight end, or come out of this draft with a tight end that I really like, and I might try and get two of those guys I really like too, and really in place of a wide receiver 1, because I have so many sleeper, quote unquote sleeper, some of them aren't sleepers anymore, so many wide receivers in deeper rounds that I'm confident in that I'm just not worried about it, right? I truly am not. So let's get our water ready. We've got our caffeine ready. We've got under 4 minutes. I am so stoked, man. So let's get some fantasy Q&A going on, man. Feel free. Any questions, thoughts, concerns about your fantasy team, any general debate around the fantasy community, NFL debate, anything you guys want to throw in that live chat, let's get that going, man. I'm just hanging out with you guys. You guys aren't hanging out with me. I am hanging out with you, and we are going to have an absolute blast throughout this draft. We're under the 4-minute mark. I can tell you, if I let this timer go the whole time on my first pick, that I'm going to make a lot of people angry. So I think I'm just going to snag Christian McCaffrey right off the bat. We're not going to think twice about it, because don't get me wrong, man. I really like Alvin Kamara. I have a lot of personal conviction in him as a fantasy player, and I really like Derrick Henry. I think he is the best running back in the league. I have him ranked number 2 on my RB ratings, but I still have CMC ranked number 1. I don't think there's anything to do here but select Christian McCaffrey when that timer goes down to the left of my face there. I think we just need to pick CMC and move along. No reason to overthink it. Those are really, I mean, I would rather take Derrick Henry or Alvin Kamara over Dalvin Cook at the moment. I think in my rankings, I had Dalvin Cook number 3. But my conviction on Kamara as a whole has really risen. And I think I would consider him over Dalvin Cook, which I could be wrong about, don't get me wrong. But nonetheless, we have the first pick. We're taking CMC. And this dude better stay healthy all season long. It's crazy. Last year in this league, Steven had my co-host Steven had the first overall selection. And he picked Christian McCaffrey. He did not turn out to be healthy. And Steven still wound up winning the championship in this league last year. So there's not a crazy amount of money on the line here. It's a $100 buy-in for this league, but there's still money on the line. And nonetheless, like I said, I've been playing in this league for years off and on. I know everyone in this league on a personal level. These are some of my best friends, not some of my best friends. These are my best friends, man. These are like family members to me outside of one of our homies, Gavin, who just doesn't have a grasp on fantasy. Shout out to you, my guy Gavin. He's really the only person missing here. But yeah, these are my second family, man. I'm so stoked to be live streaming this and just getting this out to the fantasy community, man. I love playing in this league year in and year out, man. Couldn't be happier that the Catch fam is now becoming part of that same family, and we are reaching the fantasy community, and man, we are under the minute mark. I don't know how I wound up with the first overall selection. I want to make sure that sound is turned off because the NFL platform has some really annoying sounds overall. I guess we don't need to change like projections or anything like that in terms of what stats we're seeing. So man, we're going to hop right into this. I'm sorry for this crazy Tide ad at the bottom. I'm still getting used to, live streaming overall and some of the platforming and even used to really YouTube in general. I mean, we're a new channel, man. So we're counting down this last minute, man. Shout out to the Catch fam. Shout out to all the love and support we've gotten over the last 2 months or so. Let's get it underway. Our 2021 fantasy football season 12-man league. This is a half PPR scoring format. I made a mistake in the title there, so I apologize. But like I said, I don't really view half PPR versus PPR too differently. I am going to be a total jerk and make the rest of my league very angry. I'm going to let this go all the way down to 1 second, then pick Christian McCaffrey. But I'm so stoked, man. I really am. I'm so happy that you guys are joining me for this. Let's have a blast. Like I said, any fantasy questions, any NFL debate, anything you guys want to throw in the live chat, let's get it going. I am hanging out with you guys, the Catch fam. I am joining you guys. We are doing this draft. We are hanging out together. Let's just pick up Christian McCaffrey. We let it go down for a minute, so we kind of met in the middle in terms of being a jerk. So let's see. Lidsky. Hey, love your videos. Hey, I appreciate that. I truly, truly do. We love having you here as part of the Catch fam, man. Definitely glad to see you here tonight. Let's get some fantasy Q&A going. Let's have a good time as we see Dalvin Cook with the second overall selection. Now, I will say, as Alvin Kamara is picked third overall, this league is completely, I cannot predict what's going to happen tonight. I truly cannot. I know with this fifth pick by Steven, he's going either with Zeke or Aaron Jones. I would be very, very, very surprised to see him select a different player outside of those two guys. But really, man, we could see a quarterback go in this first round. We could see two tight ends. We could see a receiver no one's thinking of. Love this league to death, man, but it is extremely unpredictable. So Austin Eckler off the clock by that of Steven, our co-host here on the Catch. So we know how much Steven has valued that of Austin Eckler from a PPR standpoint and a half PPR standpoint, right? So I'm not surprised, but I am surprised because he texted me about 15 minutes ago saying, should I pick Zeke or Aaron Jones? But knowing Steven, he is like low-key, right? He is like the god of mischief. He just wants to mess with people's minds. So that does not surprise me. He's probably just trying to throw me off, but nonetheless, Austin Eckler, the fifth player taken in this draft, someone who I have not been as high on as Steven has whatsoever. I even called him a potential bust this year, just where people were going and reaching for him, and I don't know. I think that's awesome for this channel, being that I, in our podcast, going over 2021 season preview, that was a potential player I talked about as a bust, really based off of where people were reaching to get him, right? And this is a prime example. So this will be good for mine and Steven's continued debate throughout these fantasy season and the regular season, as we now see Ezekiel Elliott and Aaron Jones off the board. So all running backs here in the first 7 selections. We are up in 16 more selections, and we know who we're targeting there. But nonetheless, man, we just need to sit back a bit. We need to let this play out. We need to keep drinking water, because I am getting super excited the more and more I think about this draft. All right, guys. So let me know, of course. I mean, as we're going through this, man, if you guys have any feedback on any of my picks, as we see Travis Kelce picked 8th overall, followed by Devontae Adams. So now we are moving out of a little bit of a run at the RB position, but Jonathan Taylor, a great pick there, great value at pick 10 by Steven's dad. Chicken Little was right, and nonetheless, man, I think a great value, Jonathan Taylor there at pick 10, especially with Carson Wentz coming back now. But yeah, any feedback you guys have on players you think I should consider, on players that I'm picking that you don't think I should be considering, let me know, man. Throw that in that live chat down there. And like I said, man, let's get some Q&A and debate going. Let's get everyone smashing that like button. Let's get this live stream spread around, man. But yeah, we just got to be patient here. We don't draft until another 13 more picks. I want to go double RB there, but if there's a QB sitting there who presents enough value, or a receiver, or possibly a tight end, then I would consider them as well. But I think more than likely we're going to go double RB, but I've got a bad feeling. I'm going to have to be moving my face all over the place just to navigate this. So Steven has one selection before me. Very possible that he reaches for a guy that I like. But nonetheless, I'm going to keep my face right here for now. I'm going to be moving it all over the place, just the way we have to navigate this. So Danielle Jones on the clock, my boy Chandler. I was going to say giant, no pun intended, giant Giants fan. I will be very surprised if he does not take Saquon Barkley there, so he can root from an emotional standpoint and from a fantasy perspective, and that is exactly who we see off the board, in that of Saquon Barkley. So our best hope in terms of Steven not stealing players from me, is that Tyreek Hill falls to him here in the second round. That is a player that he really, really wants. But I think there's so much talent available, man. Let's start to look closer to pick 25 and see who should be available. I mean, Darren Waller, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Dude, listen, man. Technically speaking, based off rankings, I'm probably going to be reaching, right? But I have confidence in the way that I want to build my roster, and I don't care if I'm reaching, quote-unquote, reaching for James Robinson and David Montgomery. I will go out and draft them regardless of a tight end like Darren Waller sitting there, and regardless of some of these receivers we see available. I know how I want to build my draft. I may consider a receiver here, at the turn here in the end of round 2, beginning of round 3. But man, I want who I want, and I just have conviction in my players. I'm not scared of the rankings, and I have a strategy. I think we are going to be just fine, as my boy Ben, changing his name to an It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia pun, which my co-host Steven and myself both have going on in our team names. We just have year in and year out, right? But usually my boy Ben is a Fly Eagles Fly. He is a loyal Philadelphia Eagles fan. So surprised to see that change in name. Shout out to my boy Ben, and we hope to see your Eagles do pretty well overall this season. Lidsky, in a 8-team league, what's the priority position that should be targeted? In any league, regardless of how many teams are in the league, I will always say the running back position needs to be targeted right off the bat. But in an 8-team league, you have more flexibility to go out and kind of move around and mess around with drafting, some wide receivers earlier, very valuable tight end and quarterback earlier. But nonetheless, the running back position will thin out much quicker than any other position in the league, in my respective and humble opinion, right? So we now see my boy Ben pairing Stephon Diggs with that of Nick Chubb, a very, very lethal start to his roster, and you just see where he picked from, man. That's why I would have loved to get pick 12. Just think about who's available. We could have got Nick Chubb and Najee Harris, for example, or like Ben did, Nick Chubb and Stephon Diggs, right? Pick 11, my boy Chandler went out and got Saquon Barkley, then turned around and picked, or in round 2, and got Tyreek Hill. So I ended up with round 1, arguably got the most valuable player in fantasy football, but from a drafting standpoint, I would much rather pick towards the end of the first round. But nonetheless, 9 more selections until we pick, and a lot of good talent will be wiped off the board in that time. Let me know in the live chat, Lidsky, if you've already drafted or not. And if you haven't, when you plan on drafting, as well as if you have any other questions around your roster in your 8-man league, as we see Calvin Ridley off the board. So Steven's dad pairing Jonathan Taylor with Calvin Ridley. I mean, I got to give a shout out to Steven's mom as well for rolling with Derrick Henry at pick 4. Great selection, going out and taking the running back I have a ton of conviction in. D-Hop is off the board here at pick 16 overall, and now we anticipate our selection in 7 more picks. Litsky, have not drafted yet, but I'm the 6th pick for it today. Yeah, man, with that 6 overall selection, I would target a running back hands down. I would definitely go for an Ezekiel Elliott or Aaron Jones. If you don't see them available, then I would go ahead and try and snag either Najee Harris or Nick Chubb. And I would lean towards Nick Chubb over Najee Harris, but I think those are your next best players. And I would go RB with your first 2 picks, and then look to the tight end or quarterback position for a really good value early on. Then turn around and get another quarterback, or not another quarterback, excuse me, another running back. And then I would look to the receiver position, as in an 8-man league, the receiver position is going to be very, very deep. So I would load up at the running back position, look for a very, very valuable, overall value. Sorry, I'm looking lack of a better word there. Another valuable, excuse me. Sorry, Litsky. Look for a valuable tight end and or quarterback after your first 2 running backs, and then turn to the receiver position and another running back, and then you will be able to snag a ton of receivers in later rounds. Sorry if that breakdown was awful, man, but check out some of our 8-man mock drafts that we have on the channel, my guy. We should have at least one out there from the 6 overall selection. If we don't, I do sincerely apologize, but keep me updated, man. I will help you in whatever way I can. We have some major updates here in this mock draft. Joe Mixon, Najee Harris, Darren Waller, Antonio Gibson taken by my co-host Steven, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DK Metcalf, and Patty Mahomes off the board, who I thought about taking there. Let's go ahead. We got 1 minute and 22 seconds quickly going down. Keenan Allen, Justin Jefferson, Allen Robinson, George Kittle. I like all these guys. The only person that strays me away from my strategy here is George Kittle. I just think that tremendous value overall at the tight end position is worth it, but I know we can get some tight. I mean, we've talked about this all off season, right? There are tons of tight ends we can go out and get in later rounds that we like. I mean, I love George Kittle. He's the last elite tight end left. I don't know, man. I think I'm sticking with my gut. My gut is saying get David Montgomery, right? Gosh, did you see how long it took for that pick to go through? It's scary. And then let's do it. James Robinson, let's do it. RB heavy. This is what we talked about all off season, all preseason on this channel. We go RB heavy on this channel. We are not scared. We don't need flashy names at the receiver position. We know that the running back position is going to quickly quickly thin out. And I tell you what, man, Steven is up in one more selection. I could see his mom right here, Tebow Matters 21, picking George Kittle. But if she doesn't, I could definitely see Steven picking up a tight end and not staying true to his normal strategy. So nonetheless, I love the start to this roster, man. Plenty of good talent available. Plenty of great wide receiver ones available there. George Kittle available there. Any QB other than Patrick Mahomes available there. But I am sticking to my strategy. Went out and got 2 more running backs. Now we turn to the quarterback position, but we have 20 more picks until we select. Let's pull up the draft log as we saw a little bit of a run at the receiver position after my 2 running backs off the board, and that of Julio Jones and Justin Jefferson all taken. Lidsky, that was really well explained. Thank you. Sorry, man, I was fumbling over my words a little bit, but like I said, go and check out some of our 8-man drafts. We have a lot more in-depth breakdowns. I hate to take you away from the live stream, man, but if you need to, go check out a few of those live streams as well. Or excuse me, some of those mock drafts out there as well from an 8-man perspective. But like I said, any questions you have throughout the fantasy season, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, man. Drop us comments, drop us any concerns. We are happy to help you along the way. So my co-host Steven now on the board here at pick 29. I really think he is going to consider George Kittle here, but I know he's been talking about getting a receiver early on, so I won't be surprised if he goes there with a receiver here, and I won't be surprised if he goes with that tight end value of George Kittle, who I strongly considered straying away from my strategy and picking up just because of the tremendous value there. But he takes a receiver, and probably the best receiver available, in that of Allen Robinson. A very good selection at pick 29 by Steven. So we have started off this draft with the RB heavy approach. I really played around with not doing this strategy this year, right? I really played around at the beginning before I even started this channel. When I was doing my mock drafts, I really played around with the wide receiver heavy strategy, and I just couldn't do it, man. I really couldn't. And then I really strongly considered going with like a stack pairing of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, which the way this draft turned out, that would have not been possible. I mean, we almost got Patrick Mahomes at pick 24 if we had wanted him, but outside of that, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce would have definitely not been options for us. But I really played around with that too if I had like pick 11 or pick 12. But I just came back to my overall strategy of picking RB heavy. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think about that. I mean, this is something that I've harped on a lot on this channel, and I'm interested to get your guys' feedback. If you had the first overall selection in a 12-man league, would you feel confident moving forward past round 3 with these 3 running backs, being Christian McCaffrey, David Montgomery, and James Robinson, as we now see Chris Carson off the board? Because I feel pretty good about this, man. I've got a lot of conviction in these guys. Like I said, there are other players available at the receiver position. George Kittle was available, but I feel really good about going out and claiming these 3 running backs. I mean, of course, Christian McCaffrey we have conviction in, but a lot of people would at least argue, and the rankings would argue, that I reached for James Robinson and David Montgomery, but I've got a strategy, and I'm sticking to it, and we see Keenan Allen and A.J. Brown off the board, so this draft actually hasn't been that crazy, as Robert Tonyan's selected in the 3rd round. So things are starting to get interesting, right? There goes Mike Evans. And I knew there would be at least a couple of picks that were just going to be like, okay, what? So, of course, Robert Tonyan's off of the board, someone who I wanted to really target in this draft, who I will not get tonight. Yeah, not a good selection. I mean, I think George Kittle is still available. Yeah, so interesting. Nonetheless, very interesting. Okay, we won't be getting Robert Tonyan tonight. But nonetheless, man, there's still going to be plenty of tight ends we can target. So with that being said, man, the next point I'm getting to is we haven't seen a run at the quarterback position yet. I could see my co-host Steven targeting a quarterback here in round 4. But nonetheless, man, I think we've got a good shot as George Kittle was taken. I am really liking my boy Chandler's team. He's getting a lot of good players falling to him, and he is drafting them with very good conviction. I like what my boy Danielle Jones, my boy Chandler, is piecing together here. I really, really do. So I like what he's got going there. I wish I could pull up the draft board and look over these. Well, let's just do it. We got a couple picks until we select, right? It's just this thing gets so like glitchy. So let's go ahead and take a look very quickly as we have some time before we pick, right? Yeah, I mean, Chandler coming out and getting Barkley, Hill, and George Kittle. Good value across 3 different positions there. So I like those guys, right? We've got 3 running backs. I think we're the only team so far to just go out and get 3 of the same position, but we see a lot of good pairings across the board, man. I mean, obviously we're in the first 3 rounds, so everything's going to be looking very good. But let's look at Steven's team: 2 RBs and a receiver in the 3rd round. I mean, he told me he was going to get a receiver a lot earlier than he usually does. Now we see Terry McLaurin off the board, but the most interesting pick so far, hands down, Robert Tonyan taken in the 3rd round. I feel like Steven paid our guy Bryce to pick a player I wanted early on or something. So made for TV _ what is up, our most loyal subscriber, our A1 Day One. What is up, my guy? You got your guys. That's what matters. Everyone saw your Montgomery and Robinson pick coming. They knew it, man. They knew I had to do it to them, right? And you're right. You're absolutely right, man. At the end of the day, roll with the players you have the most conviction in. Roll with the players that you feel the most confident in, and stick to your strategy overall. That will never leave you feeling empty-handed when you come out of your draft. So you guys can see how slow the NFL platform is, and that is why I will not be switching back to the draft board throughout this draft. I'm just going to give it a minute. I'm not going to click anything. We're probably missing a pick or 2, but we do have some time until we select again. And everything is frozen, and there it goes. It starts to move. Man, Kyler Murray off the board. That was the player I was really, really crossing my fingers for here in round 4, at the start of round 5. But nonetheless, I'm not surprised that Thunder Gun Express. I mean, this is my boy Ben. He knows what he's doing, man. He can typically build a very, very good roster, and I'm not surprised to see him go out and get that of Kyler Murray whatsoever. I think shout out to my boy Ben, man. Always a good fantasy player overall, but had a really, really tough fantasy year last year. A lot of injuries and a lot of players that didn't work out for him. So once again, you guys can see why I'm not going back to that draft board, as it is freezing up everything on my screen and giving me a lot of anxiety moving into this next coming selection. But everything should work out. We should get back in gear here in just a second. I'm going to try and reload this. Let's see if we can't just reload it. I'm going to stay up here, but I'm also going to pull this up on my phone. I wonder if I can enter the draft from 2 places. I'm going to leave this here while it's loading, just so I don't miss anything. We've seen Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson, all off of the board. We are up in 7 more selections, and Adam Thielen just got selected as well. So if worst comes to worst, I will draft from my phone and keep you guys updated, but we will try and get this back in gear. And I talked about this at the beginning of this live stream, man. This website is awful. So let's look at my desktop, well, really just my streaming options, right? And DeAndre Swift just selected off the board. Oh, sorry, guys. Let's try and see if we can't get back in here very quickly. I'm sorry, guys. I know this looks bad, but I talked about it, man. That NFL site is just absolutely awful and very, very slow overall. But I'm keeping you guys updated. Nothing to Nothing to sweat at. Yeah, DeAndre Swift, an interesting pick there in the 4th round by my guy Tyler. Not a running back I would necessarily pick in the 4th round, but it helps us out nonetheless. So let's see. Okay, enter draft. I had a bad feeling if I went to the draft board, it was going to do all of this to us. And I'm sorry, guys, but we should get this back up in no time. And we really haven't missed too much. Okay, this screen usually takes a second. But we should be good here nonetheless. I'm up in like 6 picks. It just made me exit from the app. So I am a little nervous here. And I don't know what this message is because it's not showing me. All right, let's retry. All right, here's the plan. I'm going to make these next 2 selections from my phone and keep up with you guys in the live chat here. We've seen Deontay Johnson and Robert Woods off the board. And then what we're going to do, as I really don't want to miss these next 2 picks, we'll hop right back in to the live draft. I'm going to try it one more time and see if we can't get in. Man, I hate the NFL fantasy. I promise you guys I will never play through the NFL fantasy website again. Chris Godwin is in as well for the next coming selection. So we'll keep this up here and we won't try and enter until I make these next 2 picks from my phone. Jerry Jeudy taken by Steven's mom, and I feel like on purpose, of course. So nonetheless, man, we are up in 2 more selections. I'm too afraid to try and enter as we've seen a lot of technical issues from this website. So Dak Prescott off the board. So a lot of good players sitting here, man. Josh Jacobs just selected a player that I would have highly considered there. Lamar Jackson available at the quarterback position. I think he's a great option for us. We've got some good receivers sitting here as well. I mean, Gus Edwards and Darrell Henderson are available as well. Steven's mom just texted me making fun of me because she picked Jerry Jeudy, so that's great too. I'm taking Lamar Jackson. I'm shoring up my quarterback position. Looking at the receivers available, Amari Cooper sitting here as well as DJ Moore, and Brandon Ayuk is kind of floating down there too. Some really good running backs available in that of Gus Edwards and Darrell Henderson. I think we could take another running back if we wanted to. It's not going to give us any flashy names at the receiver position though, which I don't mind, of course, but I think making a move like Amari Cooper here makes a lot of sense as he's the highest ranked player available. But I really like some of these running backs sitting here too, man. I wish I could have the live chat up here and letting you guys give me some feedback as Gus Edwards and Darrell Henderson are available, man. I'm taking Gus Edwards. I'm taking Gus Edwards. I did it. Man, I can't believe that the NFL fantasy platform just totally went bonkers on us in the middle of this draft. I mean, this is like a draft nightmare. I mean, it could not get worse than that. So, nonetheless, man, we have gone true RB heavy tonight. We have 4 running backs on this team and 1 quarterback in that of Lamar Jackson. We went crazy with the Ravens offense there. We have no receivers on our team. We passed on Amari Cooper. We'll see what happens. I think we're going to come out of this draft with a lot of elite value at the receiver position nonetheless. So let's see if we can't get this to load. I mean, like I said, man, I always have issues with this site. All I did was go to the live draft board and then switch back to the active players, and the entire website crashed. And literally, I'm trying to get into the draft. I'm trying to view it from my phone. It won't let me do both at the same time. So I'm sincerely sorry, guys. We're going to probably miss a couple selections here from a live stream perspective, but we should be able to recap and hop back into things. So nonetheless, very, very sorry about that, guys. Very, very, truly sorry. But we will recover. So we are looking very RB heavy. Of course, we got Christian McCaffrey, David Montgomery, James Robinson, and Gus Edwards. And then we went out and we snagged Lamar Jackson early on. So our main goals for the rest of this draft are to just load up at the receiver position, get a prime tight end that we feel confident in, and then we're going to turn around at the end of this draft and we're going to draft Tua. We're going to have Tua on all of our rosters, man, and I don't care what anyone says about it. So I still cannot believe that the NFL, listen, I got an idea. We're going to close out of Safari. We're going to try this through Google Chrome because this is awful. I mean, unbelievable that this app is failing us, and now my Google Chrome is not loading. Catch fam, I am so sorry. I could not be more sorry. I want to go and shout out who's been selected. Since I picked Gus Edwards, we've seen TJ Hawkinson off the board, Miles Sanders, Kyle Pitts, Mark Andrews, Amari Cooper, and now DJ Moore. So a lot of good players off the board, and there goes Cooper Kupp as well. So let's see if we can't get in. I can't spell either. Aaron Rodgers was just selected by the Cowboys. I've got 14 more picks. Let's see if I can't sign in. I don't think I've ever signed in to, and wow, Robert Gronkowski was just taken off the board as well. I'm not entirely surprised. I'm up in 13 more selections, or at least it says that, but I don't think that's true. It looks like I'm picking in about 3 picks. I mean, once again, man, I cannot stand this app. I can't stand this website. I can't stand any of it. It drives me absolutely crazy, man. Yeah, it's saying that I'm up in 13 picks, but I'm not. So if anyone wants to email me, this is my personal email. Hit me up, guys. You can also hit us up at dcatch1818@gmail.com. I hope I know my password because I'm not sure that I do. Oh, invalid password. So we just saw Gronk taken. If you guys are just joining, the NFL experience, NFL fantasy experience has completely crashed for us and is not working whatsoever. And I'm having to shout out my selections from my phone. Let's see if we can't get through Yahoo because I apparently don't know my password. So like I said, not only a live streaming nightmare, but a fantasy nightmare as well, as we can't really see what's going on. I'm up in one selection. So let's try and see if we can't get back in here. But yeah, it's so weird. It says I'm up in 12 picks, but I'm definitely not up in 12 picks whatsoever. So I'm going to pick very quickly. I've got picks 72 and 73. And listen, man, Darrell Henderson is sitting here, and I really need some receivers, but he looks like a tremendous value at the moment. So let's see. I'm on the clock. Darrell Henderson was just selected, and I am 11 picks away. Okay, the way the draft board was displaying, it didn't make a lot of sense. So nonetheless, let's see one more time if we can't get into our actual fantasy draft here. I mean, this website is driving me bonkers right now. It says it's loading, so we'll see. So yeah, like I said, if you guys are just joining us, the NFL website completely crashed when I went from my draft board to the players available, and now we don't have the best viewing experience whatsoever. And every time I try to enter the draft and I can't see what's happening, I run a risk of missing a draft pick. So we might be, I might just have to call these out from my phone, which is an absolute disaster, man. Really, really stinks, but it is what it is, man. You got to make the best out of every circumstance. So, oh well. All right, I'm still 10 picks away. Tyler Lockett was taken off the board, so I've got some time here. I'm going to wait about 2 whole minutes and see if it puts me into the draft or not. And if it doesn't, man, I might just have to call these out from my phone, which is going to be, okay, let's retry, and maybe it'll go through. I will definitely never play fantasy through the NFL website again. Was really liking our draft. I had really good vibes, and I mean, this is just crazy. The whole website just doesn't even work, man. Okay, let's try this one more time. Like I said, if you guys are just joining us, the entire NFL fantasy site crashed on us, and we are trying to get our draft pulled back up. We started this draft with Christian McCaffrey, James Robinson, David Montgomery. Then we turned around, we got Lamar Jackson and Gus Edwards. So a super running back heavy approach, and now we need to look to the receiver and tight end positions. But we also don't have this draft loading like it should be. So, of course, that is very concerning as well. But we're making the best of the situation. Likelihood is that it would just draft 2 receivers for us. I'm trying to think of another way I could display this. Like I said, I tried to get in through Google Chrome, but that wasn't really working for us either. But that had more to do with me not knowing my password off the top of my head. But nonetheless, man, we will just see what happens. I'm going to give it about another full minute, and then I might have to go back to calling out from my phone because I really just don't want to miss a draft pick, man. I feel like every year in fantasy something like this happens to me, but I feel worse because it's, of course, hurting, the Catch fam and you guys being able to watch this live stream. But I said this at the beginning of the draft, man. I always have an issue with the NFL app overall. It works just fine on my phone. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to call it out on my phone. We've seen Robbie Anderson, Kareem Hunt, Mike Davis, T. Higgins, Damian Harris, and Chase Edmonds. So we're seeing a lot of those handcuff situations at the running back position go. We're not worried about that whatsoever. Receivers who are available that we are looking at here. Brandon Ayuk is our top-rated player, followed by that of Chase Claypool. Some very good tight ends available as well. Logan Thomas still sitting there available. But Brandon Ayuk and Chase Claypool are also the top rated available players, but I think we can still come out with a lot of good receivers in this draft. So after these 4 more selections and our next 2 selections, we will then try to get this thing up on the screen again. I cannot believe that the NFL fantasy site did us dirty like this, man. Ruining our live stream for the Catch fam, man. Trying to ruin my draft as well, man. I'm going to go ahead and call out Steven's team so you guys know what's going on with him, too. He's got Austin Eckler, Antonio Gibson, Allen Robinson, Chris Godwin, and Mark Andrews. A very even team overall. I do like the way that he's building his team, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a tight end. And he just picked Brandon Ayuk, which really hurts us overall. But nonetheless, man, I think we're going to come out of this draft with a lot of good receivers. I want to go ahead and see. So I'm picking around pick 96, which is where Logan Thomas is projected. That's the tight end that I'd really like to get on this team. Steven's mom just drafted Justin Herbert. I think a good selection overall. We are up in 2 more picks. So once again, we went in extremely running back heavy in this draft. Christian McCaffrey, David Montgomery, James Robinson, and Gus Edwards, and we have Lamar Jackson on this squad at the quarterback position. I just saw Kenny Golladay taken off the board. We are up after 1 more pick. So I think there are some pretty good teams overall in this draft. Okay, so Chase Claypool just got selected, so I'm going to look at the top-rated players. I mean, uh, it's not great at the receiver position, but we're going to go ahead. I mean, we probably should have got a receiver when we picked Gus Edwards, but I just bit the bullet and took him in. Kind of regretting that, seeing that Javonte Williams is available. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and grab a couple receivers that we really like here. Antonio Brown's floating down there as well as Corey Davis. Odell Beckham sitting here as well as Devonta Smith. I mean, I like those guys too. Logan Thomas at the tight end position is available also. But I think that the best move is, I mean, I almost want to take Javonte Williams here and get another running back, right? Because there are just so many good receivers throughout this draft, but I still think there's one or two running backs who we can snag in later rounds who will feel confident in, and we are so loaded at the running back position that that just wouldn't make sense. Let's pick Corey Davis of the New York Jets. There he goes, and then looking at the receivers available, I mean, I really like Devonta Smith sitting there at the top, but I kind of want to pick Antonio Brown as well. I mean, I like both of those guys a whole lot. So, I mean, I'm not feeling bad about the receivers available, but let's just do it, dude. Let's take Javonte Williams. Let's go crazy at the running back position, man. I think we're going to still come out of this draft with a couple receivers that we really like overall, and we're good with it, man. Let's keep going. All right, let's try and get into this draft on this screen. I mean, I have tried to load this like 5 times now, and it is not working. It is driving me insane. So let's see what happens. I really want you guys to be able to see this, and I feel really bad. I am having to call these out from my phone. It is really stressing me out, but nonetheless, let's see if this loads or not. I'm going to give it a full 5 minutes here. We are running back crazy right now. I mean, we have got, I have lost count of how many running backs we have on this squad, and I think it could certainly pay off in the end, but the primary goal at the moment is to actually go out and get 1 or 2 tight ends that we're really confident in. I think that Mike Gesicki will be around in later rounds, but I would also like to get that of Logan Thomas on this team, and then we really need to target 1 or 2 valuable receivers who we can play as wide receiver ones, and I think that could certainly happen as well. But I feel good about going RB heavy, and not just kind of RB heavy. We went insane at the running back position. Christian McCaffrey, James Robinson, David Montgomery, Javonte Williams, and Gus Edwards. I mean, we are absolutely loaded. And from a half PPR standpoint, I mean, these running backs have a lot more value than the wide receiver position. So I think we can get by with some of these later round wide receivers, but I am a little bit concerned about the tight end position. I'd really like to get a tight end that we're confident in as well. So I cannot believe that, I still can't believe to this moment that the NFL website has completely crashed on us and basically ruined this live stream for you guys. I sincerely do apologize. But nonetheless, man, yeah, I don't even think anyone's watching at this point, which really stinks, man. I really do apologize that this happened. Oh my gosh, we're back on. Thank goodness. Are we? Thank goodness. I'm just letting Steven know that this whole thing has crashed like 7 times. But okay, let's get back to it, baby. We are not ever clicking that draft board button ever again in the history of our lives, man. Let's look to the receiver position. Golden Gods going out and getting Tom Brady, which I do like. I'm going to let Steven know that we're back up. Okay, we are back up and rolling. Steven has taken Tom Brady off the board. Let's get back into gear, man. I am so sincerely sorry. Shout out to everyone who stuck it through that. Let's get a look at our roster here. We have a running back addiction as our loyal subscriber, made for TV underscore, shouted out in the comments or in the live chat there, man. Yeah, I do have kind of a running back addiction. I'm not going to lie, but I think we can turn around and we can get some really solid receivers here. I mean, there is so much talent available, man. Let's see who's available at the wide receiver position. And we don't want the draft log anymore. We want the available players. But once again, this website tends to have some issues. Steven just texted me and said, stop taking every running back. Yeah, man. Well, I hope a lot of these receivers hang around because we're in that tier of receivers that I really like. I would consider Cortland Sutton at this point. I like Devonta Smith. I like Mike Williams. I really like Marvin Jones hanging down there. But we have got some time until we draft. We have got to go with a ton of receivers towards the end of this draft, man. And I'm okay with that. I think that will get by. Man, there's just so many good receivers available. Michael Pittman, Chenault Jr., Will Fuller's hanging down here, Marvin Jones, Michael Gallup, right? DJ Chark, Curtis Samuel. I like all of these guys. I think they all give us wide receiver potential. Antonio Brown and Brandon Cooks, two primary targets. Come on, man. We're building depth. We're getting extreme talent at the running back position, the thinnest position in all of fantasy football. I don't feel bad whatsoever. Look at these late round guys. I like Sterling Shepard. I love Terrace Marshall Jr. I like Russell Gage. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown. We have got so many receivers to choose from. I am not in any way stressing at the receiver position, even though I only have one receiver on this team. So this might, Marquez Callaway still hanging down there too. We need to make sure we're keeping an eye on where he's available. But this site moves very, very slow. So I don't know, man. Maybe it's my laptop. Maybe it's something I'm doing. I really don't know. But overall, man, I will never draft through the NFL fantasy site again. One more time. I'll probably mention this at the end too. I can't even mark up Marquez Callaway. I'm really, really, truly so sorry. Thank you guys so much. For sticking through that. If you did, I'm not surprised if a lot of you guys opted out of this live stream because we had that crash in the middle. But thank you to everyone who stayed. Thank you to everyone who's come back now. I see a little bit more activity going in terms of people here. So let's just hop right back into it. We need to take a look at the tight end position. Like I said, plenty of receivers I'm confident in, but plenty of tight ends that I feel good about as well. We have got running backs galore on this team. To some sense, right, we kind of screwed over the rest of the league, right? We took so many running backs that had to have hurt somebody out there, right? Brandon Cooks taken off the board, a very good value pick here by my guy Chandler, right? But nonetheless, man, the way that this team is looking, we need some tight ends, don't get me wrong, and we need some receivers, right? You guys can throw me shade for this. I went way more wide receiver light than I thought I would. I don't know. I don't feel bad about it. I like all these guys. I think down the stretch, it's really going to give us some good talent. And I'm completely okay with it. So we'll see how it works out. That's why we've got this channel, right? So you guys can evaluate me being good at fantasy or not being good at fantasy, and me helping you guys out, right? So Trey Sermon and Cortland Sutton off the board there. Two good picks, or at least good value picks here. All the way, we're already in round 8, man. Gosh, that overall crash on the NFL site just completely threw me off in this draft. It had me completely flustered trying to get that back going for you guys. I'm so happy we're up and rolling, man. So yeah, I feel pretty good at this point in the draft. I'm just going to sit back and draft receivers that give us wide receiver 1 value, or wide receiver 2 with good upside value, or even wide receiver 3 with good upside value. And outside of that, I am going to take a couple tight ends that I feel good about, and I think that at the end of the draft, we're going to see the most value at the wide receiver and the tight end position. Logan Thomas, I do really want on this team. I really think we can turn around towards the end of this draft and still get Mike Gesicki, or even potentially get 2 tight ends that we feel good about. We might need to consider taking more than 1 wide receiver right here. That's probably the best move, just to ensure that we get 2 number 1 guys. I mean, I like Devonta Smith a lot, but I really like Michael Pittman and Shenault Jr. here as well. I'm definitely going to be targeting. I mean, man, Jalen Hurts is available. Just adding that absolute talent at the QB position would be nuts, as we see the first quarterback taken off the board. It wouldn't make for the most attractive fantasy roster because we're sacrificing the wide receiver position again. I just don't know. I mean, I would pairing Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts would be crazy. As we see another kicker off the board, and now Kenyon Drake. I actually think at this point in the draft, Kenyon Drake's a pretty good value. Part of me really wants to take Ronald Jones still. I'm pretty positive he's still available, but we just cannot afford to take another running back at this point in the draft. And we are up in 6 selections. So we're going double receiver here, or we're going with Logan Thomas at the tight end position and a second receiver. Either way, I think we're going to be happy with this draft as a whole. Like I said, man, we're just sitting back at this point. So let's get some fantasy Q&A. I mean, we're up and running, man. Let's forget about that crash in the middle of this draft. It's all over with, man. We are good to go now. Devonta Smith, a very good pick by my guy, Dusty. But overall, man, we're up and running. Let's get some fantasy Q&A. Let's get some conversation flowing. I am so sorry that we crashed in the middle of this, but we're up and rolling, man. How are you guys feeling about this crazy running back heavy roster I've built here? I've got 1 receiver on my team. I mean, we just we're rolling with the punches. We are RB heavy with a quarterback who is essentially another QB. What is up, my boy Fabian? I hope I am pronouncing your name correctly. How are my running backs? Gibson, Barkley, Hines, and Connor. I think your running backs are pretty good. How many teams are in your league? Let me know for sure. I think at the least you got 2 very good RB1s, and then Nyheim Hines and James Conner, some very good overall late round values as well. I really like Nyheim Hines this year. I think he's going to have a great year, as we have seen Curtis Samuel off the board as well. And that brings up an interesting conversation, about that Arizona Cardinals backfield. I mean, do you guys see James Conner coming out of there as the RB1? I don't know if I do. I think it's going to be a pretty even 50-50 split, really, between Chase Edmonds and James Conner. But nonetheless, man, I think that both are going to have value. And when, the Arizona Cardinals are playing against really poor defenses, you can start either of them with pretty good confidence, right? So is Marlon Mack worth a draft? In deeper leagues, yes, just as a stash, right? But overall, I see that backfield rolling out primarily consisting of Jonathan Taylor as your every down back, essentially. I mean, he is just too good to not have on the field. And then Nyheim Hines is really your PPR value overall on that team, as my co-host Steven selects that of Michael Gallup. Let's see. Would you still be live at 8 p.m.? It's possible. Steven and I might be trying to get on here live. We might have an announcement for the channel tonight. It's possible, my guy. So just keep tuned. That's all I got to say. I'm not entirely sure yet, but feel free to drop a comment on any video, on the channel, and give us shout out any questions you have for your draft. We are definitely happy to help you, to say the least, my guys. Ronald Jones taken by Tebow Matters. So I'm pretty sure that Steven's mom has been listening to this and just selecting whatever players I want. So shout out to you, Jane, as Jalen Hurts is off the board. A very good selection, and that is followed by that of Deebo Samuel. All right, so Mike Williams sitting here. Man, I really want is Corey or not Corey Davis, but is Antonio Brown gone? I guess he did get selected. I think that we're rolling with Chenault Jr. here for sure. And then outside of that, I just want Antonio Brown's available, man. I mean, I really like Michael Pittman here, man. But let's take Antonio Brown. Man, this site moves so slow. Every time I do anything, I'm really scared. And then let's take Chenault Jr. But I really like Michael Pittman there, showing wide receiver 1 potential. And I really like Logan Thomas at the tight end position. But I think in the upcoming rounds, we'll still be able to get some very good overall value at the tight end position. So I like Chenault Jr. I like Antonio Brown here. I'm really happy with this roster so far. I think we're going to get at least 2 more receivers we're happy with, and another tight end, or 2 tight ends, 2 receivers, or 1 tight end, 2 receivers, and another quarterback. If we draft another quarterback tonight, it's Tua. I got to put my money where my mouth is, man. I got to get him on this roster because I have been talking him up so much. Man, I really like Michael Pittman there, though. I feel like I might regret not taking him, but I think that Zach Pascal and that offense can still step up as Leonard Fournette is off the board. So let's move over to the draft log, and then I got a couple questions. Let's see what is going on here in our live chat. Made for TV underscore. I think you need 3 running backs out of the first 4 rounds. Everyone in my league who didn't is now looking for another running back. Yeah, man, it just dries up so entirely quickly, right? I mean, we are going to have 3 RB1s starting every week. That is where our value as a roster stands, and that is insane. At the receiver position, man, you can go out week in and week out and get very talented players, right? On the waiver wire every year, players show up on the waiver wire, at the wide receiver position, man, and number 1 value. So, I mean, you can argue that happens with the running back position too, but that's due to injury, man. And I mean, don't get me wrong, that happens, with receivers as well, but I don't feel bad about going so RB heavy. Jamar Chase taken by Steven. Interesting selection there, but could certainly pay off. So I don't disagree with you whatsoever, Made for TV underscore. Shout out to my guy, Made for TV, one of our first subscribers, man. As soon as we, talked about doing a live stream, you were like one of the first people to say, I will be there. Let me know when. So shout out to you, my guy. We appreciate your support, man. Fabian is asking, how do you feel about Bell? I did a video, after that circumstance came out. And the main thing I really forgot to mention in that video is that Le'Veon Bell has just been signed to the practice squad. So I don't even know if he's going to be out there week 1, like even on the sideline. So I'm not stressing about Le'Veon Bell being added to that offense by any degree whatsoever. I don't know. It's an interesting situation. I still see Gus Edwards being the primary back there. I really wouldn't go out and put out a waiver for Le'Veon Bell. I mean, if you feel good about him, that's fine. But I would look at his stats from last year with the Chiefs, arguably the best offense in the entire league. Did not pan out whatsoever. I mean, he barely even rushed for like 300 rushing yards and only a couple scores as Logan Thomas is off the board now. I would not put in any waivers for Le'Veon Bell. I really, truly wouldn't. Hey, Berkey, what's up, my guy? How you doing? Looks like I think you're new here. What's going on, man? Hope you hit that sub button and you join the Catch fan. Happy to have you here, man. Stoked that you're in this live stream with us. Hey, I was offered Hopkins and Edmonds for Thielen and Allen Robinson. I already have Jefferson and have Chenault, Boyd, and Galladay on the bench. Need a bench running back, which would be Edmonds. Thoughts? I would take that trade. Absolutely. If you're referring to Justin Jefferson and you have Chenault Jr., Tyler Boyd, and Kenny Galladay, I really, really like Allen Robinson. Don't get me wrong, but I think you get the perfect trade-off with DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins can be a top 5 wide receiver this year. So in that sense, you're getting enough value to make the trade. And I also like Adam Thielen, don't get me wrong, especially in the red zone. We know that Kirk Cousins loves to target him in the red zone, right? But nonetheless, man, I would definitely consider that trade. I'm not crazy about Chase Edmonds, but in weeks where he has very favorable matchups, like he has coming up in week 1, and from a PPR standpoint, I think he's a very good flex player slash bench player. So that is a trade that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, pairing DeAndre Hopkins with Justin Jefferson is going to give your overall fantasy roster an extreme value. So I think that's a good trade, and I would definitely highly consider it. Let me know what other running backs you have on that squad as well to see if maybe that affects anything. But I think you're making a good move, and I wouldn't turn down. I mean, if you have Justin Jefferson and DeAndre Hopkins, you might have 2 top 5 wide receivers on your squad. So, yeah, let me know what other running backs you have, but I think you should definitely consider that trade. All right, so Philip Lindsay and Michael Carter, last 2 running backs off the board, last 2 players off the board. Nothing too exciting going on here, man. We just want to go out and at this point, I think we need to go tight end, wide receiver, and then turn around and probably go tight end, wide receiver one more time. But I'm really crossing my fingers that Mike Gesicki doesn't get taken in these upcoming picks. And I think even if he does, we can still come out of this draft with a pretty good value, especially looking at those Eagles tight ends floating down there. Although that situation in Philadelphia has become more and more murky, right? But nonetheless, man, I truly do like a lot of these receivers sitting here, right? I really don't have a problem with a lot of these guys. I really want Marquez Callaway, and I really want, at the tight end position, I really want Mike Gesicki. I feel like if we got those 2 guys, I would feel very confident overall with this roster. And then I think we can still turn around and get a really valuable receiver like a Terrace Marshall Jr. or a Sterling Shepard, and then still get a pretty good tight end to end the draft, or get a pretty good quarterback. So Tua's creeping up on the overall available players, which kind of bothers me because I could see a lot of people passing on Tua. I could see a lot of people taking Tua as well. But I do want to look who's available at the quarterback position. I can tell you, if Kirk Cousins falls to us at the end of this draft, I will take him all day long. A great QB2 to have on your roster, as when we pick a tight end and a receiver, we'll still have 2 more spots available. So I like a lot of these guys sitting here. I mean, I don't think a lot of them are going to be available up in 10 picks, but I think we're going to get some really good value coming up here. All right, Berkey, my running backs are Saquon, Taylor, and Sanders right now, with Jamal Williams with my last pick. Yeah, in that circumstance, man, I think you should absolutely conduct that trade. Obviously, you're starting Saquon and Jonathan Taylor every week, right? And then Miles Sanders and Chase Edmonds, theoretically, if you do the trade, are going to give you a lot of good bench value, right? And then you're also going to have Jamal Williams as an option too. So I think you should do that trade. That's one of the first times where I really don't. I'm not leaning either way. I absolutely think you should do that trade. I think that's going to give you a lot of good overall value throughout your roster. Let's see. How are my defenses for my leagues? Bucks, Colts, and Broncos. Great, man. All very good defenses who are going to have favorable matchups throughout the year. Speaking of defense, man, I am literally heavily considering taking a defense with this upcoming pick. Oh, man. I really want to. But we need receivers. Let me know right now, man. And you were welcome, my guy Berkey. You don't even have to say thanks, man. We just appreciate you being here in the live stream. Like I said, if you're new here, my guy, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and we will get you updated throughout the entire season however we can, my guy. Shout out to you for becoming part of the Catch Fam potentially. But let me know, guys, do you guys think I should hold off at the receiver position and take some true sleepers at the end of this draft and take a swing on a defense here with a tight end, as we know we need a value tight end. I don't know, man. It feels like a risky move because I never do this. Sorry to bother you. I'm new to fantasy football. Would you start Dak or Tannehill this week? And I sub. Bro, do not say sorry, man, especially if you already hit that sub button, baby. You are part of the Catch fam now. That is what we are here for, my guy. Never say sorry. I don't care if you've been playing fantasy for 24 years or 24 minutes, man. We are here to help you 24/7, baby. Don't you ever say sorry, man. Between Dak or Tannehill, very good question. I would start Ryan Tannehill this week if I'm being honest, man. A much better overall matchup against that Arizona Cardinals defense, right? But also, I mean, I love Dak. I really do. I think he's going to have a great overall season. But the shoulder injury is a little concerning, right? But only to some degree, in my perspective. What's more concerning is the fact that we're dealing, in the sense of the Dallas Cowboys, they are dealing with some COVID problems in that offensive line. We know that they're going to have a starter out on the offensive line, and that front seven of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is absolutely filthy. We saw what they did to Patrick Mahomes last year in the Super Bowl, and I'm a little concerned for the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow night. And I think overall Dak's going to have a fantastic season, but this is a tough Week 1 matchup that could certainly turn into a shootout. The Cowboys could certainly be playing from behind and keep up, but overall I am a little worried as to how that matchup's going to work out. On the other hand, Ryan Tannehill has a very favorable matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, who have improved in the offseason, don't get me wrong, but overall I think it's a better matchup from the quarterback perspective, and I would start Ryan Tannehill with pretty extreme confidence going into that matchup. So no problem, man. If you got more questions on your roster, hit us up. Like I said, you are part of the Catch fam. That is what we are here for, and I will get back to the live chat in just a second. Okay, we have Chenault Jr. on this team, so we're not picking up another tight end. Man, part of me really wants to take the Rams defense. I mean, I just feel like it could do so much for this fantasy squad throughout the season, but we need some receivers and we need a tight end one. So I'm really torn here because we're not going to pick for like 20 selections after this. I'm going to take the full time just to think this out. If we take, I'm really trying, I'm thinking inside my head, that's how deep in thought I am, right? So we've got Corey Davis, Antonio Brown, and Chenault Jr. We need depth at the receiver position. I always talk about how deep the wide receiver position is, and I do believe that, but Marquez Callaway sitting out there, who I consider a wide receiver one value. But just think about having the Rams defense added to the squad. I mean, it would just give us such a crazy value. And to put things in perspective, I never draft a defense early. And made for TV, Michael Thomas just got selected in this past round, so I don't think he's going to be available. But, man, looking at some of these receivers in later rounds, oh my gosh. I mean, I love Marquez Callaway, man. I want him in all my leagues. But Henry Ruggs, a wide receiver one. Paris Campbell sitting down here. Cole Beasley, man. This is a tough decision, man. It truly is. But Terrace Marshall Jr. is going to be there more than likely, right? Let's do it, because this is also theoretically some way strategic too, because now we're going to cause a crazy run at the defensive position, right? And I really like that I just did that. I've never done that in my fantasy career, man. But you got to take some gambles, right? And I'm willing to take some gambles because we're doing it for the Catch fam, baby. So we should have, I'm going to move my face around here. And let's try and check out this queue because, yeah, I mean, look at the value available, man. And let's just look at our roster as well, man. I'll get right back to that live chat in just a second, guys. But we do need to go out and get like 3 receivers or 2 receivers and a tight end or quarterback. But, man, dude, I feel really good about this team. Now, don't get me wrong, man. The receivers don't look great. And Marquez Callaway would have certainly helped this team to a pretty extreme degree, right? But if we can get a diamond in the rough, 2 diamonds in the rough at the end of this draft at the receiver position, who might not initially look that great, but throughout the season are true wide receiver ones, dude, we got a loaded team, in my opinion. A great value at quarterback, a great value at tight end, and we are stacked at the running back position to no. I mean, it is insane the way we're looking. And I still think we have 3 very good wide receivers, right? And like I said, this is a half PPR league. I know I put in the title PPR. I meant to put half PPR. I apologize, guys, if that throws anyone off, man. But nonetheless, I like this team, and I think if we can get 1 or 2 receivers late here, we are going to be looking very good overall. And I mean, dude, we've got a true wide receiver 1 in Corey Davis, in my opinion, right? I mean, that could change. We don't exactly know how the Jets are going to come out and play, right? But and there we see the Washington football team taken. We're going to see a lot of defenses taken, I'll tell you that much. But Antonio Brown and Chenault Jr. might be wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3s, but they play like wide receiver 1s for the most part, so we're happy with those picks, man. I'm going to hop back into this live chat. How do I feel about the Raiders' backfield? I love Josh Jacobs. I've been super high on Josh Jacobs and the value of where you can draft him. We just missed picking him in this draft by 1 or 2 picks. I would have loved to have him over Gus Edwards. But yeah, I've got tons of conviction in going out and selecting Josh Jacobs. I like Kenyon Drake to some degree. I mean, we saw him put up a good amount of touchdowns last year. We don't know exactly how he's going to be utilized in that offense, but I do like him overall. And with that being said, man, sorry, my voice is like cracking. I've been talking so much tonight. But with that being said, that offensive line got very, very bad in the offseason. And I would be a little hesitant based around that fact, but the value of where you can draft Josh Jacobs, who was a top 10 running back last year. If you guys haven't looked at mine and Steven's running back rankings, go check those out because I have some pretty hot takes in there on my running back rankings. I have Josh Jacobs pretty high this year. And, excuse me, yeah, I really do like him overall. And yeah, I got no problem with the backfield, but I'm scared about that offense as a whole. I'm scared about the offensive line as well. So a lot of good receivers starting to go. Some of those diamonds in the rough that we want to target here starting to be taken off of the clock. Yeah, a lot of receivers just went right in a row. So, yeah, Made for TV also said if Michael Thomas still available, you could potentially get a steal if you have an IR spot. Get that defense and grab Thomas. Yeah, definitely a great recommendation, but definitely also bummed that we saw our guy Michael Thomas get taken pretty quickly there. So Eric Ebron off the board, man. We're hoping that we see like literally 6 or 7 defenses taken in a row here. And if we don't, we might kind of regret that Marquez Callaway, passing, right? Tua's sitting here too at the quarterback position, so I think we just need too many receivers to really even consider Tua. I mean, at this point, right, we got to consider some interesting players. But let's see, AJ Green comeback season. It's possible, man. It's a pretty loaded wide receiver room overall, but it's definitely possible. I know he's been dealing with some injury. So it's hard to say. I like AJ Green, but I mean that might be someone we need to target here. But it's hard to say. I like the addition of AJ Green to that offense a lot. Steven and I talked about that in our podcast pertaining to the NFC West as a division, right? But and here we'll go ahead and pull up AJ Green. Although I'm scared to click on anything after what we saw happen earlier, but I think he's going to have a good year for where he is in his career, and I think he's a good addition to that offense. But from a fantasy perspective, I'm not entirely sure he's someone that I want to target here. My main guys are looking like Amon-Ra St. Brown, as well as Terrace Marshall Jr. If I don't get Terrace Marshall Jr., I'm going to be very upset. I can tell you guys that much. But I'm also going to have to consider taking Henry Ruggs sitting here as well. So like I said, man, we are looking for diamond in the roughs at the wide receiver position. There's a lot of defenses left. So, I mean, strategically, we took the Rams defense there to see if we'd see a big run on other defenses in between and still be able to go around and get some wide receiver 1 value here, which could still happen. I mean, we still see some wide receivers that we really like available. Kirk Cousins still available at the quarterback position as well as Tua. So we have some options, from that perspective as well. There are some good tight ends available, but I don't feel like we need to add another tight end as the Green Bay Packers defense is selected over a lot of other very good defenses. So shout out to my boy Chandler for that pick, as the Ravens, Niners, Dolphins, Colts, Chiefs all available as well. But shout out to you, Chandler. You're my guy, so no worries there. Nonetheless, man, keep throwing me these diamond in the rough wide receiver picks, man. We have 8 more selections, and Terrace Marshall Jr. is one of the top players on the board, which is really, really making me nervous. I would really like to get this guy on my roster. Kirk Cousins off the board, a really good selection by my guy Tyler there. Very good value, someone we were just talking about, but really good value here in round 12. Nonetheless, man, I can definitely already sense that people are going to look at this roster and think that it sucks. As Russell Gage is off the board, another receiver we've been looking to at this point in the draft, followed by that of Tony Pollard, right? A very interesting selection, and now the Golden Gods, my co-host Steven, is on the clock. I have a strong suspicion he's going to take the receiver I want in Terrace Marshall Jr. here. This is a make it or break it selection here. I mean, we need some, and this is just showing players drafted at the receiver position. Let's go ahead and see the actual draft log here, and let's go ahead and see if we cannot just view who is available and who is getting selected, and that is exactly what we're doing. So like I said, man, if you guys have any sleeper wide receivers that I haven't mentioned yet, throw them out to me, because we only have 3 wide receivers on this team. We're stacked at every other position, but we are going true wide receiver 0 essentially in this draft, man. I mean, I think I tried out so many different draft strategies, right? And even right when I started drafting, outside of picking Christian McCaffrey, I mean, I knew I was going RB heavy, but I really didn't know exactly what I was going to do for the rest of the draft. And we made some decisions I did not think we'd be making tonight. I mean, we've picked a defense. We were the first team to pick a defense, which I think could definitely benefit us throughout the season. But, I mean, as good as the Rams defense is, they're going to face some very tough teams. The Niners, right? The Cardinals, right? The Seahawks, right? They face all of those teams twice a year, and they usually play very well against them. But I love the Rams defense. I don't have a problem picking them, but I've never picked a defense that early in my entire fantasy career. So nonetheless, man, let's go ahead and gear up. Austin Hooper off the board. So we do get Terrace Marshall Jr. here, someone who I think can have a really, really good rookie season and a very, very easy strength of schedule. And then let's take Henry Ruggs, because he is the wide receiver 1 on the Raiders, and we need a wide receiver 1. The other choice there would have been Amon-Ra St. Brown, who could still potentially fall out to us. Man, I like this team. This is a weird team. We have so many running backs on this team, it's not even funny. And my final target for the night, another running back, man. Someone I haven't brought up. We want to keep an eye on these receivers. I am going to queue up AJ Green here, as we've been debating him in the live chat, right? If it comes down to it, I'll add him just for the sake of the catch. Fam, man, I would have really liked to get Tua on this roster, right? I think that Tyrell Williams sitting down there could be a good selection. I mean, Valdez Scantling, another good pick kind of towards the end of this draft. I guess that Sterling Shepard got selected, and we cannot go out and target him. But honestly, I kind of view Sterling Shepard as wide receiver one value with Kenny Galladay being so banged up in the offseason and preseason. Yeah, I don't think Sterling Shepard's available, so that's not an option. But for this final selection, there is a running back that I want to mention. I like some of these tight ends. I mean, Gerald Everett, Cole Kmet, Zach Ertz, Evan Ingram, and Blake Jarwin, as well as Hunter Henry and Jared Cook, present good value, but they'll be floating around on the waiver wire, and I like Mike Gesicki as well. So, and who is our starting tight end, right? But the running back that I want to see, I mean, I think he's available. I haven't seen him selected, right? Is Telvin Coleman. I mean, he's the top back available. If he doesn't get selected, then I will take a chance on Naheem Hines or J.D. McKissick, or we'll take another receiver, right? Made for TV underscore, excuse me, almost butchered your name there. How do you feel about Bateman? Man, I love Rashad Bateman. I'm just concerned because of that injury, right? I mean, I really am. That was someone who I did a fantasy video on, just him and, him and Jerry Jeudy a while back, right? And I do want to see where Telvin Coleman is rated here because I want to see if he has the potential to fall to us. I mean, anyone who looks at the running back position, as Steven takes Trey Lance, a really good pick by him. I think he's probably very happy with that. I mean, regardless, we needed to get two receivers here. So if Telvin Coleman doesn't fall to us, it's not the end of the world, but it's definitely possible. And I think that'd be a great final selection on this RB heavy squad. Why not, man? But nonetheless, if he does get picked, we'll just roll with a QB, wide receiver, or tight end, those being the positions that we need some depth at. And man, I just remember that Lamar Jackson is facing the Oakland Raiders in week 1. He is going to have a monster week 1, man. I'm so excited for that. But speaking of the Ravens, Made for TV brought up Rashad Bateman. I mean, I do really like him. But I think he's someone who we can hold off of in terms of drafting, right? Because I think that as things creep up and he's starting to become healthier and where he can go out and play, right? I think that we'll be able to get him off the waiver wire is the point that I'm trying to make if we really do want to add him. I wonder if he's listed as an IR, because if he is, then we could potentially draft him, put him on our bench, and forfeit a kicker. And, or not put him on our bench, we could draft him, put him on our IR spot, as we do have one IR spot in this league, and then get a kicker after the draft, right? So let's look into that while we have nothing better to do, waiting for the end of this draft. Dude, this draft was crazy. I mean, that absolute crash by the website. I mean, I'm really sorry for that, guys. I know that wasn't like an enjoyable viewing experience by any means, but that just really made this draft absolutely crazy. So nonetheless, I don't think Rashad Bateman is listed as an IR player. Let's see if we can pull up his information and if it gives us anything. Because I think he's only supposed to be out until like September. I'm going to exit out of this because I have a bad feeling it's going to crash their website again. And I definitely don't want to see that. Oh, he is on IR. He is. Okay, we got the exact information we needed. I am telling you, man, for the sake of the Catch fam, I will draft Rashad Bateman and put him on my IR spot and then go get a kicker off the waiver wire. And I think that will be a super dope move, and it will be in honor of the Catch fam and in honor of Made for TV underscore, one of our most loyal subscribers. Nonetheless, let's keep trying to keep up with these next 11 picks because we really want Telvin Coleman to fall to us. As David Johnson is off the board after the selections of Naheem Hines and Devontae Parker. Some really good late round values here. So what is up, Greg? Hope you are new to the Catch fam. Hope you have hit that subscribe button if you're new here. Definitely happy to get you in the stream and joining us tonight, man. Redraft PPR League got offered Ayuk and Gaskin for Clyde and Mooney. That's a tough one, man. but I think that's a good trade on your end. I mean, I think Ayuk is going to give you a lot more value at receiver. And I think Myles Gaskin will have an opportunity to potentially be an RB1. But I do think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to have a better overall season. But with that being said, I mean, we've seen a lot of serious injuries already to that of Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So it could work out in your favor, right? I would definitely consider that trade. I mean, that's a tough one, man. You're giving up pretty good value, and you're taking a gamble on that of Myles Gaskin. But nonetheless, I do think that that value of Brandon Ayuk over Darnell Mooney and the potential for Myles Gaskin to replace Clyde Edwards-Helaire as an RB1 who can stay healthy is definitely worth it. So I think that's a good trade on your end. So I would definitely consider that, man. Definitely consider that. So if you guys haven't already, let's get that like button smashed so we can get this live stream to some other viewers while we're still here live streaming. If you guys are new, I truly appreciate if you become a part of the Catch fam and you hit that subscribe button. But please keep these fantasy questions going, man. I will certainly answer them to the best of my ability, man. And go ahead and check out some of our previous recorded videos, as they might give you guys some answers as well whenever this live stream does end, man. So let's just let's refocus to where we are. Let me get a sip of water here. So we've got Lamar Jackson at the QB position, so I feel like we went out and we got an elite QB. Let's look at these running backs. I mean, I feel like I did the most insane thing ever. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, David Montgomery, James Robinson, Gus Edwards, and Javonte Williams. And we're targeting a running back coming up here. Greg, you said Clyde is my RB3 also, so I would have Kamara, Jonathan Taylor ahead of Gaskin. Okay, in that case, take that trade, man. I think that's a fantastic trade. You get a premium upgrade, in my humble opinion, at the receiver position with Ayuk over that of Darnell Mooney. Keep in mind that in week 1, Brandon Ayuk is facing the Detroit Lions, so he is a lock at a flex position for you to put up a lot of points, and in my opinion, the wide receiver 1 on that 49ers team, so a huge upgrade in my humble opinion. And then knowing that you have the RB1 and on average in fantasy last year in Kamara and Jonathan Taylor as your RB2, I think that it's okay to give up Clyde Edwards-Helaire and take a risk on Myles Gaskin. So I have no problem with that whatsoever. I think that's a very good trade in your favor. I mean, do keep in mind that Mooney, is on the radar as a breakout player. A lot of people really high on Darnell Mooney, and I don't have a problem with him whatsoever. But I do believe that overall, Myles Gaskin is going to have, or excuse me, not Myles Gaskin. Well, I mean, obviously including that trade, but I do believe that Brandon Ayuk will have a better season than that of Darnell Mooney. So I think that's a good trade, man. I think that you should certainly consider that, right? Thanks for the advice. Appreciate it a lot, man. Don't even need to say thanks, man. If you truly want to thank us, just subscribe to the channel and keep asking us those questions, man. We are happy to help, especially if you are a member of the Catch fam. So let's do it, man. I think we got the two guys that we wanted to end this draft on. Telvin Coleman, listed as the RB1 in the Jets offense. I don't care if it's the Jets. He's an RB1. And then we are doing it made for TV _. We're forfeiting a kicker. We are going out and we're going to draft Rashad Bateman. And then after this draft ends, put him in our IR spot. And then we are adding a kicker sometime later after the draft. I don't even care what kicker we get. We went out and I think we drafted a beautiful team. It was a weird draft. The NFL fantasy site crashed on us. You guys saw my personal email. You guys saw me forget my password trying to sign in from Google Chrome to see if it would work better. You guys all left. You guys came back though, because that is how we roll. We are the Catch fam. What a crazy draft this was. We went super running back heavy. We had to find some diamonds in the rough at the wide receiver position. We got a tight end and a quarterback we're confident in. We got arguably the best defense in the league. We don't have a kicker. We drafted Rashad Bateman for our loyal subscriber, man. That is what I want to do all season long, man. I want your guys' feedback, and I want you guys to be a part of this fantasy journey. As much as I love giving you guys fantasy advice to the best of my ability, as much as I am confident in my fantasy advice and confident in helping you guys out as well, I love when you guys are included in my fantasy decisions. And as much fun as I have playing fantasy, as serious as I take this league, and as much crap talking I have to put up with from these guys that I know, like I mentioned at the beginning of this draft, this is my second family I'm drafting with, essentially, right? And as much crap talking that goes on throughout the year, as much frustration there is, as much money as there is on the line, I don't care, man. At the end of the day, I want the catch fam involved. If we go down together, baby. I don't even care. Let's look at this roster right after I get into this question. Litsky, who is better, Gibson or Harris? Tough question. Two very, very good running backs overall. I think they're both going to have fantastic freaking years, man. I think Najee Harris might come out of the year looking a little bit better, but I would not sleep on Antonio Gibson either. 11 touchdowns last year, right? He loses that PPR value to J.D. McKissick, but nonetheless, man, I like both of those guys a lot. I don't know who to call better, especially since we haven't seen Najee Harris in a full season. But nonetheless, man, let's crack down this roster. This was insane. I had a blast tonight, man. I'm glad you guys saw me stressing. I'm glad we got put on the line with the entire site crashing. I mean, this was just crazy, man. Shout out to the Catch fam. Shout out to all you guys being active with us tonight and going through this draft with me. Go ahead and smash that like button if you guys didn't do so already. And if you guys are new here, sub to the channel. Become part of the Catch fam, man. We have Lamar Jackson at the quarterback position. Super confident in Lamar, of course, at the RB position. We have got so many running backs, it's not even funny. Christian McCaffrey, David Montgomery, James Robinson, Gus Edwards, Javonte Williams, and Telvin Coleman at the receiver position. Not a lot of flashy names, but we've been over this and why we went out and got these guys. Corey Davis, Antonio Gibson, Chenault Jr., Terrace Marshall Jr., Henry Ruggs. I don't even know if Terrace Marshall has a junior in his name, but I keep saying that. I feel like he does, though. Henry Ruggs. We drafted Rashad Bateman. Shout out to MadeForTV_. That's your pick. You are part of this roster. But right after this draft, we're throwing him on our IR spot. Then we're turning around. We're adding a kicker to this squad. And nonetheless, man, we have a tight end in Mike Gesicki that we're very confident in. And no, I'm not giving you my feedback, NFL Fantasy. You don't want my feedback, trust me. And Roger Goodell is, I don't know if you guys can hear that, but in the sounds here, Roger Goodell is talking to me. At the tight end position, super confident in Mike Gesicki. At the defensive position, super confident in the Rams defense. That was crazy. That was the most fun fantasy football draft I've ever conducted in my life. I'm super stoked with this team. Super RB heavy, diamonds in the rough. At the wide receiver position, a stud tight end, a stud defense. We've got an IR player move to make. We got no kicker, man. This was awesome. This was a blast, even with those technical difficulties in the middle, man. Shout out to all of the Catch fam. I thank you guys more than you could ever imagine for all of your love, all of your support over the last month or so. I had a blast putting together all of this fantasy content throughout the offseason and preseason. But guess what, man? It doesn't end just because we drafted. We are going to have updates every single week. We're going to have must starts. We're going to have NFL updates as a whole. We're going to have NFL debate. We're going to have our podcast episodes. We have got all kinds of content coming to you. We're going to have actual live streams where you guys can just tune in and ask for fantasy advice, right? So Stay tuned, stay subscribed. There's nothing more I could say to truly make you guys understand how much I appreciate your guys' support. So with that being said, we know who's on this roster, man. I'm going to bring you guys a lot more updates from my team as a whole. I am happy as anything with this team. I think there's a lot of good depth and a lot of good value over. Also, as always, man, I appreciate you guys. I thank you guys for being here. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button. If you're watching this retrospectively, you can still smash the like button. You can still drop some comments down below overall. And like I said, if you are new here, become part of the Catch fam, baby. You saw how much fun we had tonight. Go ahead and hit that sub button. We are on the road to 100 subscribers. Our 100th subscriber is getting my Sacred Baker Mayfield Funko Pop, which is right behind me. I'm not going to pull him out because, like I said, he is sacred. We only pull him out when we need good juju. We forgot to pull him out in the middle of that technical difficulty. You guys saw what happened. We pulled him out in my 20-man live draft, and some good picks turned to us there. So nonetheless, man, this was an absolute blast. I do want to shout out Steven's entire squad as well, as I kind of lost track of it towards the end of this draft. But he went with Austin Eckler in the first round, followed by Antonio Gibson. So 2 very good RBs to start. Then he went double receiver with Allen Robinson and Chris Godwin. Then he grabbed an elite tight end in Mark Andrews, and he turned around and got Brandon Ayuk, who I really wanted in that round. A great selection by Steven. I don't know if he would have lasted to us anyways. And then he went out and got a quarterback in Tom Brady, who he's confident will have an MVP season. Then he went out and got some good depth at receiver with Michael Gallup and a huge question mark with Jamar Chase, but certainly a gamble that could work. Followed by A.J. Dillon and DJ Chark and Zach Moss. So some very good depth at some skill position players, right? Some handcuff situations at the RB position that could certainly pay off. And then he went out and got his guy Trey Lance, a stud kicker, and Rodrigo Blankenship, and a stud defense in the last round in that of the New England Patriots. So shout out to our co-host Steven, who we should have back in here pretty soon to get you guys updated as well. I'm sure he'd love to get you his perspective. But nonetheless, man, 2 very different drafts by myself and by Steven. We will be keeping you updated with our respective fantasy rosters all season. As always, man, hit the like button. Drop some comments. Become a part of the Catch fam. Help us get to that goal of 100 subscribers, man. Like I said, that 100 subscriber is getting a Baker Mayfield Funko Pop, my personal Baker Mayfield Funko Pop, man. I just couldn't be more stoked for this upcoming season. I couldn't be more stoked to keep pumping out this fantasy content with my co-host Steven for you guys, man. I couldn't be more stoked that the Catch fam is an actual thing. I couldn't be more stoked that everything led up to this draft. That was an absolute blast. Technical difficulties or not. Shout out to all you guys. I thank you so much for joining. I thank you all so much for watching and or listening. And remember,